Hi, hello, good morning to another video from my week of Guerlain Ombre G-Quads here on my channel. Today I'm going to basically do my go-to look with Imperial Moon, which is the most cool toned offering in the core line of the Guerlain Ombre G-Quads. This is a look that I do very often. I kind of always do the same look because I just really like it, but I don't think I've ever done this look on camera, which is very fortunate. I can share it with you this week. The first thing I'm going to do now is the rest of my makeup, obviously. I'm going to grab the teeny tiny remnants here from my Inglot eyeshadow base. I actually think this is maybe the last time I'm using this one, and I can retire the little depotted version as well and move on to the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer portion, because that is the next full-size eyeshadow primer that I have in my collection, and let's hope that that performs as well as the Inglot base. If not, it's fine. I have two backups of the Inglot eyeshadow base. It's all good, it's all good. For my foundation, I'm going to take the NARS Light Reflecting in the shade Deauville. Have I ever told you guys that I have a low-key obsession with this Australia-New Zealand cooking show called My Kitchen Rules? Okay, let's talk about it, because they just started airing a new season here in the Netherlands, and I also found that I can stream all their seasons online. And as you can imagine, I've been binge watching that ever since I found out that I can do that. So if you're not familiar with the concept, there are so many cooking shows out there that it's really hard to keep track. But I was first introduced to My Kitchen Rules, I want to say maybe back in 2012 or 2013. It must have been more towards 2013, because I was at home, I was unemployed at the time, I was finishing my PhD, and I could, you know, be at home at the time that they were airing the show, because it was on TV, I want to say somewhere around like 5:30 in the afternoon, and I don't really know how I came across it. It's probably just randomly watching TV one afternoon I came across the show, and then I sort of like started following it to the point where I would just like tune in every day at 5:30 to watch the new episode. So My Kitchen Rules is a concept where you have a pair, and it could be anything. You could be spouses, you could be best friends, you could be frenemies, you could be daughter and mother, daughter and father, whatever. But the idea is that you have this like pairing, and then you are obviously amateur cooks, and you're going to compete against other pairs. And from what I understand, they always choose a pair from different regions of Australia, and I think they've done a season in New Zealand as well, but I think maybe that was like only one season, and the rest have been mostly covering Australia. And it is really like a original concept from like the Australian TV. I think they've tried to franchise it in other countries, but unfortunately it has not been that successful, because, for example, I've never seen it in the Netherlands, whereas their other franchised cooking show, MasterChef, has been heavily franchised everywhere in the world, and there are always new seasons also here in the Netherlands. For whatever reason, I could never get into MasterChef. It's just not as much fun for me to watch as My Kitchen Rules. So the way the show works is, just FYI, I'm going to take my Dior Skin Correct Concealer as usual in the shade 1N. The first round of the show is always the instant restaurant. So each pair invites people into their home, and if their home isn't large enough to host everyone, then they're going to be elsewhere, like a friend's or a relative's house who is big enough to host basically a mini restaurant, because we're talking about, usually it's about 5 teams, I want to say, per round of instant restaurant, 5 or 6 teams, plus the 2 judges. So we're talking about like 12 to 14 people at your table, which is quite a different experience than cooking for just a few people, first of all, and also having that much space in your house, right? I don't know that I have enough space to host this much people in my house. Anyway, so the first round is, like I said, the instant restaurant round. So in that first round, you invite people, well, you don't invite people over, but like you have to cook for all of the other teams as well as the judges. And you have to have a 3-course menu, and you have to do it within a certain time frame. I think overall you have 5 hours to do groceries and set up your restaurant, because it needs to have some sort of a theme. And then you have 3 hours to cook, plus, you know, the additional time while the guests are there and eating for you to do the rest of your like cooking and preparation and so on and so forth. And it's just like super fun for me to watch. They always like show little excerpts from people sitting at the table and commenting. And for the longest time I was convinced that they always like point out to one couple and they're like, okay, you're going to be the bad guys in this show and you're always going to contradict everyone, you're going to be assholes. But I started watching a season now where everyone is like super nice. So it must be that it happens organically, that like one person or like one couple at the table are more confrontational than the rest. I'm going to take the Dior Backstage Powder in the shade 2N. So it's always just like such a fun watch, and they bring out the meals and then everyone has to try the meals and they have to judge each other. So each team has to give a score to the team that's cooking and also the judges, and they score each meal separately. So you have 6 additional scores because you have 2 judges and then 3 meals per judge. And then after the instant restaurant round, there is always a couple that basically has to leave the competition because they're at the bottom of the scoreboard. I'm going to take the Too Faced Laminating Brow Wax now to quickly do my brows. And they do like 2 rounds of those instant restaurants, so you have I think a total of like maybe 10 teams participating per season. So they do one round of instant restaurants, then one team falls out, another round of instant restaurants, and then another team falls out. And I have to say they've been changing the format a bit, so I'm not actually quite sure that that's still the case. But after those rounds they go back to the headquarters, the MKR My Kitchen Rules headquarters, where they continue to cook on set with like different challenges and like cook-offs and like sudden death rounds and stuff like that. And towards the final episode it's not just the 2 judges anymore, there are a whole like group of judges who come to score the meals, and you have to produce complicated meals and you have to feed a lot of people. Because I want to say that for the final, or at least that's how it used to be, they invite your family plus the guest judges, so you have to cook for like an actual like restaurant setting. It's a really fun show. I've really been enjoying it for years. Every time it's been on TV I've tried to follow it, and unfortunately up until recently I want to say that they always had it on TV in like the earlier evening hours, so somewhere between 5 and 7, so I very often wasn't able to follow it. But let me grab quickly my bronzer. I'm going to take Nude Honey from Pat McGrath Labs. But as of recently, the latest season, that's season 13, which already was aired in Australia, by the way, and I already know who wins, because I'm the kind of person who goes and like reads that kind of thing, because I just don't care. I'm too curious to see. Once I've like gotten to know a few of the teams, I'm just so curious who wins in the end. That doesn't really spoil the rest of the experience for me, don't you worry. But the newest season is being aired at 7:30 in the evening, which is a great time for me to watch this, because most of the time I am just preparing dinner and Nicola is already in bed, so I can in peace watch my cooking show. And like I said, I've also discovered that you can stream the show online, so I went back also to watch the previous season, because I'm pretty sure that either the previous season wasn't aired or it was aired at a time of the day when I was not able to follow it, because none of it seems familiar to me. For my blush, I'm going to take the beautiful and always fitting Nude Venus, also from Pat McGrath Labs. Have any of you ever watched My Kitchen Rules? I mean, I'm sure most of you have watched or at least heard of MasterChef, but have you ever heard of or watched My Kitchen Rules? And if you follow these kind of like cooking shows, which one is your favorite? I'm curious. For my highlighter today, I'm going to take Venusian Nude, which I want to say I haven't really used either on or off camera in a while. And as you guys know, it is one of my favorite highlighters from Pat. I'm quickly going to set the powders on my face with Fix Plus and my little sponge here. I hope that you can hear the birds chirping outside. They're quite loud and my window is open, so I can hear them loud and clear. I hope that you can hear them too. It very much puts me in the spring spirit. Okido, I have zoomed you in and we're going to get started on the eye look. First things first, I am going to start off with this black eyeshadow over here. It is one of their what I call like latexy creamy matte eyeshadows, and it is a beautiful texture. It is the kind of black that is not extremely black or punchy, and you can build it up or you can sheer it out quite a bit if that's what you wanted. My favorite way to start my look when I do this specific look is to just start with the black eyeshadow in my lashes as a bit of a liner, and then softly blend it out. I've been doing this technique a lot in the past year. I've just really been enjoying it. It's my favorite way of adding liner without really adding liner. And what I'm already going to do is actually take a little bit more of that black and connect here on the lower lashes, just in the outer 1/3 of the lower lid. I'm not going to put it all the way in, just the outer third here. Next I'm going to take the Worker Pro from Sonia G. It is my favorite kind of like shape of brush to apply these like one and done shadows with. It is flat, but it also has a little bit of fluff to it. And I'm going to go in this like nudie peach shade. And ironically, when I bought this quad, I thought this shade will be useless to me and I won't have much use for it because it has a very light pigmentation. It's like that satin type of shade that doesn't really do much. But then I found out that it is a beautiful tone for a one and done, and it works so nicely with layering stuff over it that it has quickly turned into actually one of my favorites in this quad. I use this shade all the time now. I really love Imperial Moon. Imperial Moon is probably one of my top 2 of these quads from Guerlain because it is really the only like more cool toned offering in the collection. I was waiting for them to do something that's cooler brown taupes in this formula, but unfortunately, as we all know, that's not going to happen. So Imperial Moon will have to satisfy my urges for a cool tone palette in this range. Next I'm going to take one of my liquid eyeshadows. This is one of the Skin Fetish, Liquid Fetish, no, what are these called again? I don't know, one of the liquid eyeshadows from Pat McGrath Labs. This is in the shade Luna Rose, which is one of my absolute favorite liquid eyeshadows that I purchased last year. I'm going to take a little bit on the back of my hand here, just apply it this way. And then I'm going to take again the Worker Pro from Sonia and just apply a little bit of Luna Rose all over the lid, but concentrating it mostly here at the center of the lid. And I want to apply a thin layer of Luna Rose, just like disperse those sparkles and that sheen, so that it gives a beautiful effect over top of that peachy nude that I applied from Guerlain. Luna Rose has the most beautiful, like very bluish, purplish type of sparkle. I'm going to shine on artificial light when we're done, just so you can see what that eyeshadow can do under artificial lighting, but it is just so pretty. I really like it. And since Luna Rose is a liquid and it's a little bit tacky still, I'm going to go back into the Guerlain eyeshadow and I'm going to apply a little bit of this duochromy type shade over top, or like to mesh a little bit with Luna Rose, but like the absolute tiniest bit. And then I'm going to mix them together just using my finger, and I think it creates such a beautiful and interesting effect. And because of the lightweight nature of these textures, they just don't create any additional texture on your lid. They just create a lot of like interesting effect without making your lids look crappy. I love that. And finally, for my inner corner, I'm actually going to mix the silver together with this shade a little bit. It is not the ideal inner corner, but I do really like how bright of a silver this is. And I do like to pair it with the rest of the shades because I think it creates this very like interesting contrast in the end of the day. So you may opt to, if you're doing like a similar look to this, you may opt to just use your face highlighter instead of the silver shade. But I like to really mix it up between the slightly warmer tones and the really cooler tones of this palette. So I will push the silver shade a little bit here in the inner portion also of the lower lashes. This look essentially gives you a plethora of options when it comes to your lip color. You can keep it quite neutral, you can go quite colorful, really it is up to you. I decided to go for the Velvet in Rain from Lisa Eldridge. First of all, because I haven't really worn Rain in a while, and second of all, because I wanted to you know, switch it up a bit from all the red lipstick that I've been wearing lately, just in case you're sick and tired of seeing me wear red lipstick. But otherwise I might have actually just done a red lip. But I think Rain fits the look also really beautifully, and it is also the kind of interesting tone that straddles the line between being cooler and warmer depending on the look that you're going for. And since we have both kind of going on today, I thought this would be the perfect finishing touch. Do let me know what you thought about this look. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!